We are so lucky to have men like Aaron here in Cleveland, and we're so grateful to have you now part of the OCR family. It is my distinct pleasure to present this year's Star Award to my new friend, Aaron Grossman.
So again, I want to thank Kathy again for introducing me, and again, I really appreciate that she actually called me and wanted to get to know me more than my bio, so that was really cool to see that, and I really appreciate that. And I honestly can't express in words just how grateful I am to be here tonight. I need to start by giving a big shout out to my good friend John Gadd, if he's still here. Where's John at? There you are. Thank you so much. Who had initially introduced me to the Ohio Cancer Research and actually recommended me for this incredible honor, which I'm still shocked about. I also want to give a big thank you to Bill Bogus, right? Am I saying that right? Okay, I got it right. Awesome. And the entire staff at the Ohio Cancer Research for tonight's special event. It's been awesome. This organization does so much to improve and support innovation with a goal of improving and saving lives. When I was encouraged, because I don't like to do these things, to accept tonight's Star Award, I wanted to make sure I was aligning with an organization that connected to the one word that describes my purpose for being on this earth. And that one word is potential. It is incredibly important for me to maintain a strong focus on serving my purpose each and every day. It didn't take long to realize how connected OCR was to the concept of potential. At its core, Ohio Cancer Research serves to unlock the potential that resides with innovative research. They understand the value of supporting a potential at its earliest stages, which is critical to transitioning the potential into viable solutions that actually have a chance to change the world. By show of hands, really quick, how many of you have been touched by cancer in some way? Too many hands. How many of you have lost someone close to you from cancer? Raise your hand. Way too many hands. It is amazing to me just how often I hear this ugly word stream into the conversation. It always takes my breath away when I hear of another person stricken with cancer and battling to save their life. None of us want to see someone go through something like that, and I want to believe that all of us here tonight would love to see cancer be cured for good. Sorry, I gotta drink some water. So when John Gadd told me he wanted to recommend me for tonight's Star Award, what he didn't know was that I was currently dealing with cancer in my family. The topic of cancer research and innovation was very much top of mind. So I'll give you my story. So my father, who was born, his name's Arthur, was born in 1943, is actually a triplet. My uncle is his identical twin, and my aunt is his fraternal twin. I believe they were one of the first naturally born triplets in the state of New York in 1943. So my cancer story focuses on my Aunt Lynn and her husband, Fred. My Uncle Fred knew my aunt while in high school in the Catskills of New York. They had been together and married for over 50 years. I absolutely love them to death. Although they have lived in San Francisco for all of my life, I've always remained close to them. In many ways, they have helped me learn how to approach my life. My Uncle Fred has always been into health and fitness. Even in his 60s, I think he swam from Alcatraz back to the bay, which is really hard to do, especially when there's sharks. Through his influence and inspiration, I have tried to remain active and physically fit as I start creeping up in age, because I'll be 46 next week. Both my aunt and uncle are obsessed with traveling the world. I don't know if I know anyone that I've ever met that has traveled to more countries than those two. My wife Gianna and I have aspirations to follow in their footsteps. We've always talked about modeling our lives after them as soon as our kids get out of the house, which is 8 years and counting. Some of them are Probably the most impactful thing that I have learned from my Aunt Lynn and Uncle Fred is their pure love for each other. I can probably count on one hand the amount of times I have seen love fully realized and completed in such a way. Their love for each other has always been my North Star, and I want to believe it is what led me to marry the love of my life, Gianna. Just over there. I try and visit my aunt and uncle at least once a year. And last November, I visited them and we had so much fun together. I can't remember what we were doing. I kind of do, but we just spent the evening at their house just laughing hysterically for hours. And all was great in the world. Then, in February, March timeframe of this year, my uncle was feeling significant back pain, and he wasn't able to gain relief. He went to the doctor, where they ended up discovering a tumor, and it was cancerous, as he was diagnosed with lymphoma. This was devastating news, and my aunt was a complete wreck. My Uncle Fred was truly half of her soul. I still can't imagine the fear and pain she was going through as the love of her life was battling to stay with us. My uncle went through 2 different forms of chemotherapy treatments, and neither of them worked. In fact, the tumors grew. For a moment, there was a sense of helplessness. Thankfully, my uncle had excellent medical care. Through the advancement of cancer research, there was a new procedure that he could participate in. I don't recall the name, but I remember that it had just been FDA approved, and my uncle would be one of the earliest patients to try it. He had the procedure done this August, and everyone was on pins and needles. We were told there was a 40% success rate, which gave us hope, but still a lot of doubt. The first couple of weeks after the procedure, it was really, really scary. It seemed at some points that Michael might not recover. And then suddenly, he started to improve. He started to gain some energy, and although he was incredibly frail at that time, I think he lost like 40 pounds, he started to crack jokes, as he often loved to do. My wife and I headed out to San Francisco in early September, just a few weeks after his procedure. I honestly didn't think I'd be able to see him because he was still susceptible to bacteria and viruses. Apparently, my uncle wanted to see Gianna and I so bad that my aunt said that we could see him. And we were the first ones to see him, actually. And I was so scared, but also so happy to be able to see him. We still didn't know if the procedure was working, but all signs appeared to be positive. A week after our visit, my Uncle Fred received the best news from his doctor. The cancer was completely gone. The procedure had worked. It was a mini miracle. In fact, just last week, my uncle just had another scan and there were no signs of cancer. The impact of cancer research saved my Uncle Fred's life. Unlocking the potential that exists with innovative research does indeed save lives, and that is why Ohio Cancer Research has a vital role to play in our community. I know I've already talked probably pretty much too long, but I did want to mention a couple of other things because I do realize that I'm being honored tonight, which is incredibly surreal. My life has been a story of potential. I believe that potential is often realized when it is mixed with a bunch of adversity, and I've had my fair share of it. I was raised in a blended family, and adversity hit me like a ton of bricks growing up, as both my mom and my stepdad attempted suicide in different periods of my life. Those were very difficult moments for me to work through. My parents worked hard to raise us in a great community, but had significant financial struggles to make that happen. In 2005, at the age of 31, I suffered a heart attack, which was still crazy to think about. I was that close to never realizing any of the accomplishments that I am being honored here for tonight, to be here with my children. In 2007, my mom passed away in her sleep at 59. And just a week later, while I was still grieving her loss, my stepdad had a heart attack, quadruple bypass surgery, and then suffered a massive stroke on the day he was supposed to be released from the hospital. My stepdad survived for the next 11 years without being able to speak and having to eat out of a tube inserted into his stomach. He lived the remainder of his life with me at my home. It was really hard to essentially lose 2 of the biggest influences in my life within a week's time. Despite all the adversity I've faced in my life, I have maintained a focus on serving my purpose of potential. I have always felt it a tremendous privilege to be gifted the opportunity to live a life. And I have always maintained a deep responsibility to do everything in my power to become the best possible version of myself. Although I rarely look back and reflect on my accomplishments, I do feel that I'm really living my purpose in full. It is amazing how hard that one word potential can be a catalyst for so many things. To be able to live a life that serves potential, it takes a tremendous support system. And if you will honor me for just a moment, I would like to give gratitude to them. And I actually do apologize, because I don't think I can mention everybody that might be here tonight. So I apologize for that. But I want to personally thank Kevin Kramer, who I know is here. There he's over there. The person who helped start the employment agency that we have in 2001. He's been an amazing partner since the beginning, always trusting and believing in me. And as a side note, his wife, Erin, had a significant battle with cancer just a couple of years back. So I think you were 31, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And as a side note, thankfully she won that battle, because you're here. And it's wonderful to see them happy together. I want to thank Matt Lyon, who's my CFO, for the Chief Financial Officer for the last 15 years. Literally without him, I would not be standing here tonight, because I couldn't possibly unlock my potential without his support. I also want to thank the entire leadership team and staff within the Talent Launch Network. These are people who work tirelessly to help bring $1 billion vision, which is what we have by 2027, to life. And I also need to thank my work wife, Meredith Barnett, who I know she was honored before, because over the past 9 years, she's worked hard in making sure I don't screw everything up. And she also tries to make sure I give a good impression on people. She doing a good job? So I need to thank those who believed in my vision for starting the Wrestlers in Business Network, which they talked about earlier, now considered to be the premier business networking organization for the sport, with tens of thousands of members throughout the country. I've also never been so incredibly fortunate to have had our amazing Northeast Ohio business community, which many of you here tonight are, support me on this journey. Smart Business Magazine, which Fred Curry was on, for example, has been so supportive of our business, even helping me to launch an annual conference that has over 400 attendees focused on improving business culture throughout Northeast Ohio. It's called the Small Culture Conference, which is like in April of every year, so if you want to attend. I also need to thank these local entrepreneurial focused organizations like Jumpstart and North Coast Angels, which helped me bring a technology idea, which wasn't talked about, that I had to life in 2017. In just 2 short years, EmployeeStream is considered to be one of the hottest tech startups in the entire state of Ohio. I also have been so fortunate to build vendor relationships and partnerships with amazing local companies like Vantage Financial, I'm probably not gonna name them all, Highland Insurance, Benish, Sequoia Financial, Cohen & Company, Ernst & Young, KeyBank, and I also want to thank my mentor, Bill Welsh, who's here. I think he at least was here. Are you here still? Okay, good. It really, truly takes a community to optimize potential. I joined the Entrepreneurs Organization in 2008, which is a nonprofit with a simple mission to engage leading entrepreneurs to learn and grow. And I've been meeting with the same group of guys 4 hours every month for over a decade now. I would call them an absolute essential ingredient to my potential recipe. Many of them are here tonight, and I thank you for your support, and I love you guys. I also need to thank my close personal friends. Being my friend is not easy. I'm not always accessible, and I'm not always present. I sacrifice a ton to be able to do what I do, but I have a small group of friends who choose to be my friend through thick and thin. I can't express enough in words the strength that gives me knowing that you guys always have my back. Thank you. Finally, and I think this is finally, I want to thank my family in the audience. In the audience tonight, I have some of my cousins here tonight. A couple of them were in the show. Thank you so much for being here, for making things so much fun when we're together. I love you guys. Most importantly, I want to thank my wife and my children for being here tonight. I stated earlier in my speech that Gianna is the love of my life. When I lost my mom in 2007, I lost my rock. It wasn't until 2011 that I found my new rock. And once I tethered to it, everything in my life skyrocketed to where it is today. Gianna, thank you for helping me unlock my potential. I love you so much. We have a blended family of 5, and these kids are truly the light of my life. I love watching them grow up. And if there was one thing I would hope that they will take away from this speech, it's that you all have so much potential, and I pray you do everything you can to strive to become the best version of yourself. As Ohio Cancer Research has proven, when you invest in potential, you can change the world. Thank you.